A couple years ago, I told you guys I was arrested.
So who cares? Why not do your own thing and let them say what they want?
All right, I have a video for you today. What sparked my interest in making this video is the mistake that I made that I'm gonna talk about in this video has finally caused me some actual real life grief, and I'm in kind of a funk because of it, so I thought this would be like a kind of open diary, just like random thoughts, and then I can also post it to let you guys know what happened, because a couple years ago I told you guys I was arrested and then was never able to tell you what happened or why. It was just a bad legal decision, and now that I'm technically able, I'm not quite sure. I'm gonna ask Hunter first, so if you see this video, you know the outcome of that conversation. But anyway, I wanted to start by saying I think I understand now why I don't often feel embarrassment. I think because I feel a slight amount of embarrassment for telling you guys this, for this being a fact in my life, I think it's because I usually conduct myself within my parameters of like moral correctness, and like I'm usually congruent with my actions and the person that I want to be. And I feel like this is an instance where I wasn't congruent entirely, at least, and I'm not quite sure that with the excuses that I can make for this, I'm not quite sure that they make up for my actual actions. This is gonna make a little bit more sense later. This is kind of just a video diary, so if it seems a little all over the place or confusing, hopefully it's interesting to watch. I know you guys have always loved my open and honest nature, so maybe some of you guys can relate to this or just enjoy listening to it in the background while you do something. Hard boil eggs, I don't know. So I just got back from a Global Entry interview. Global Entry is a program that allows you to kind of skip the really long line in customs when you're traveling abroad, and I guess one of the precursors to being approved for that is not having a misdemeanor in the last 5 years. Well, let me tell you what happened in December of 2020. Hunter and I were planning on moving in together. I was planning on moving into his house. Like, I was living there a little bit before this time. Actually, it was in November, I think. I was living here a little bit before this time, or maybe it was December. Neither here nor there. But he wanted me out of the house for this one specific night because he was prepping for an expert depot, and when he preps for things, when he does his work stuff, he gets really stressed out and hyper-focused and doesn't want anyone messing around or talking to him or bothering him. He just wants to like be alone and be in the zone, right? And at this point in our relationship, I guess he didn't know that like I can easily fulfill that and coexist with him. Now it's like a normal thing that he does that, and I just don't bother him, and I get it, and I let him work. I guess he can imagine, not having known me that long, that I might just come in, music blaring, listening to YouTube, yelling, and making fucking customs for my OnlyFans or something. I don't know what he thought, but now that's not an issue. So he's like, go like stay at Jay's house for like one more night, then after that we can like, you know, you can come stay as much as you want, is basically what he said. It was a weird way that we ended up moving in. I kind of like edged myself in there, and he was kind of like, I like you around it, I'm not that against it, but I would never ask you to move in specifically. So that's how I moved into his house. But anyway, so that night I was like, me and Jay were in like a weird spot, and honestly I really just wish, like, it's a kind of a regret of mine. If I had regrets, I try not to have them, but like if I had done this differently, I would certainly have just stayed home with Jay and played video games. But I felt so weird about Jay, and like I was like missing Hunter when I wasn't with him at that point. I was even clingier than I am now, and so I wanted to do something that would take my mind off of it and also still kind of remind me of Hunter and make me feel closer to him. And some of his female friends were doing like a little night out thing, so I was like, okay, I'm trying to be more fucking social for Hunter, and I'll feel like I'm kind of with him because I'm with his friends. So I decided to go to this thing. Well, you know, it was fine, it was fun, they were all right. It was this girl that I was really close to, Kristen, not the blonde one, not the OnlyFans girl, like a non-internet girl, and a couple others, one that I was still close to a little bit too, and then two others that I didn't know very well, or one other, not sure. But anyway, so I go to this, it's like an Italian restaurant. They want to get wine. I don't like wine. At this point, I'm learning to drink, basically. In my entire life, I'd never blacked out. I'd never had too many drinks. The most I've had for too many drinks is I start getting like a little bit of I'm tired or I have a headache or something. And I would only do it for like drunk streams, or when I was at some convention or something, I would have a few drinks. I was not a drinker. It would be like once or twice a year max. So with Hunter, I was half peer pressured, but then also half wanting to explore the side of myself that I could have potentially had if I had a party phase. Because my entire life, I did not have a party phase. I didn't do it. I did did, you know, weed way too young, and like I hung out with older boys and shit, but I never had that like high school / college party phase. And I was honestly enjoying, you know, getting a little too drunk with him and his friends. So it wasn't a peer pressure thing where I'm trying to obfuscate fucking responsibility at all. But this is kind of a good outline for one of the excuses I'm gonna give on how I fucked up. So we ordered, I think, 3 or 4 bottles of wine for 4 girls. And I had 2 glasses, I think. I think each bottle of wine usually does like 2 drinks for 2 people or 1 drink for 4 people, whatever. I didn't feel like I had that much, and I had never in my life had more than 2 sips of wine before, literally. I've had some champagne before at like weddings, but not a lot because I don't like the taste of any of that shit. I'm more of like a, if I'm gonna drink cocktail or beer kind of girl, and I still to this day only like pink Moscato. And it's like, I really don't like wine. I've tried pairing it with things and that's kind of cool, but like I still just don't like the taste of wine. So I'm doing this with them and I'm slowly drinking it and I'm sipping it, and then, you know, a couple hours roll by, like 2 to 4 hours or something, and we've finished the, I don't remember whatever I said, how many bottles. I actually don't remember for sure if it was 2 or 4 bottles, but I know I had 2 drinks and maybe a little bit of another one, and then I was just like, ugh. And the pours were kind of like, they were hefty pours, but it was like 2.5 drinks and it was over like a span of 2 hours, right? We're like going out to the parking lot. The other 2 girls are going home, and me and Kristen are like, let's hang out a little bit more. So Kristen invites me over to her place, which is downtown. I'm like, I'll drive. I have the Jeep. I feel fine. And I did feel fine. I felt perfectly fine. So this strip mall where we were having our dinner is like one of the main places, at least in that area, for people to like have fun on a night and party and drink and stuff. It's kind of like a little strip mall of trendy bars and restaurants, right? So it's no surprise that I was profiled, that we were profiled, but I pulled out of the parking lot and it was like 800 feet, like literally 800 feet. And they stopped me like by a bus stop or something. And I gave them my info and shit, and I was like, oh fuck, but I'm fine, so I think I'll be fine. But there's still that fear because 0.08 is like not that much. I don't know if you've ever, like I have a mini breathalyzer now, by the way. If any of you guys ever drink and you want to like legally and safely drive, get the little breathalyzer. It's like 20 bucks on Amazon. I'll even link it down in the description. It's good to keep you guys safe. So I had no idea that 0.08 was going to be so negligible, and I also felt fine. However, when they took my license and registration, they made me sit in the car for like, I don't know, it felt like 45 minutes. Kristen was pretty like belligerently drunk, and I was like fine. He said that I was swerving, but I wasn't. I'm 100% sure that I was profiled, and that was the reason for the stop. Obviously, he probably saw us walking out, being loud. We're a group of girls, like whatever, trying to have fun. We're a little tipsy. But as I was sitting in the car, I got progressively more and more drunk. I don't know why, and to this day, every time I have wine hits me weird. It's like, I don't know if there's science behind it, but it's like sometimes I'll have like one of my only few hangovers from wine. I never get hangovers, but wine can do it. Or sometimes it'll make me like sad and cry. It like fucks with my emotions. Sometimes I don't feel it at all. Sometimes it hits me like a fucking truck. Well, this time it was like some delayed onset of hitting me like a truck. And by the time he came back, I was like, fuck, I'm really drunk. Like I was actually really drunk. I wasn't like blackout or anything, but I was really drunk. So he fucking takes me out of the car. I decline to have a breath test because I had heard that's good. It's not good. There's a few circumstances where it's good, and I feel like that's if you feel like you're on the cusp and you just want to wait to be tested until you get to the place so that your blood alcohol level does pass. That's like the only time it's good to say no, because they will hold that shit against you. They'll treat you like shit. They treated me like shit. I was also not the greatest person to work with because once I knew they were going to take me in the back of the truck, yeah. So they put me in the back of the car. I was being an asshole. I also had to pee, so I was like, can we get going? I gotta pee. And then I was really being like a cocky, I wasn't an asshole, I was kind of just being like sexual to them. It was really weird. But I remember just being like a cocky, awful, sexual person while my friend was like screaming at them. So her boyfriend, Hunter's best friend, shows up and he's like trying to take my Jeep because they impound it. They don't like just leave it there. He was like, come on. And they were like, oh, you're not like one of the people on the insurance or one of the people on the car's registration, so you can't take it. But he was like trying really hard to take my Jeep, which I to this day appreciate. He took her and told her to shut the fuck up, Kristen, and We finally drove off and I was put in a holding cell with a rotating amount of women for like the whole night. One of the girls I still follow on Instagram, she's like a cocktail waitress type girl, very similar age and situation to me and everything, and we just kind of like stuck together a little bit. We were released together and everything. But anyway, definitely the worst day of my life, definitely the worst night of my life. I was able to have full access to a cell phone, to a telephone that was on the wall, which was weird. So I was calling Jay multiple times, and Jay was really helpful, even though he was also, one, annoyed at me because I didn't like just stay home and hang out with him. But I don't know, it's really, it's a mistake, obviously, but it was a really, I feel really bad that I didn't spend that time with him. But I feel like I was also just in a weird spot with him at the moment. And I knew that just sitting on the, he gave guilt trippy vibes a little bit at that point, not on purpose, but it felt that way. And then sitting on the couch playing video games, my mind would be racing and whatever. I should have just stayed home and done that, because I'm not a person that wants to go out and have a girls' night and be drunk, like stupid, especially not without Hunter, because my whole reason for liking drinking is to, you know, get a little inhibition-less with Hunter. Like that's literally it. So I regret that aspect. I 100% believe, now I'm gonna take full responsibility for my actions. I don't know if I've ever said it on this channel, but with thousands of hours of me talking about my opinions on this channel, I probably have said that I think that anyone that willingly and knowingly drinks and drives is a piece of shit, and I do believe that still, because I think I would amend that to like being a lot drunker than 0.08 though. I'm talking about the people who literally are just like, they don't have any control. Because like, you know, they say like, oh, drinking a little bit like lowers your inhibitions, your motor skills. Okay, but I have like better motor skills than the average person. So when someone doesn't have as good motor skills as I do, they shouldn't be allowed to drive at all? Like, I'm a better driver than a lot of people. I'm better hand-eye coordination and fucking risk assessment and all that shit than other people. So like, for me, that kind of conversation where it's like, oh, having one drink at all, you shouldn't be driving because you're more impaired. Yeah, there's more of a risk, but I'm still less riskful than a lot of people they give licenses to. But anyway, that's an aside. That's not what I'm trying to talk about right now. I think that anyone who drinks and drives when they actually feel impaired is a piece of shit. And I did not at that moment feel impaired. Had that fucking alcohol hit me like fucking 3 blocks, or I would have already been at the place, honestly. They left me sitting there for like 45 minutes. But if that had hit me, if that amount of drunkenness had hit me while I was on the road, I would have stopped. I'm fucking risk averse. I'm afraid of driving to a certain extent. Not as much as other girls, but yeah. I'm definitely very not trying to hurt myself or others or be like, woo, I don't even know what's going on. Like hitting a tree. I would never be the person that hits a tree. I might be the person, or I was the person, who will drive completely being able to, you know, do everything and know everything and see everything and nothing's even really fuzzy. Like I would do that, like morally, obviously not legally anymore. But so that's what I thought I was doing. Honestly, that's what I thought I was doing. Should I have done it? No, I should have just like Ubered. Now I Uber fucking everywhere. I make us Uber to a place from a place. If we have the Jeeps there, I'm like, let's just leave the Jeeps, get them back tomorrow. Like I'm so crazy about that. And it felt so shitty because I'm like the only person in the whole like Hunter's friend group that I know that has actually gotten arrested for a DUI. And I'm the least risky. Oh my God. I make us fucking Uber, and I always have, if anyone seems a little silly or I'm like, bro, your breath smells or anything like that. I've always been that kind of person. So I feel like such a fucking idiot for this happening to me. And it really was the worst night of my life. Like Hunter wouldn't take my calls. He says that he didn't know until the morning, but he knew, whatever. He was mad at me because I was like fucking basically with his depot prep, which he told me to leave him alone all night. Whatever, very early in our relationship. So I guess it's fine. But like he didn't take my call until the morning. And so I was basically alone. I didn't have the person that I thought was supposed to be like my support system. I had Jay, but Jay was also like frustrated at me about the whole night, but still being there for me, which eternally grateful. You know, I love Jay. Hunter's best friend was a better friend to me that night. And I still consider him like a really good friend than Hunter was. Nothing against Hunter either. Like I'm not still mad about that. Like there's shit that happened in the beginning of our relationship that like, you know, it's just growing pains and we've worked through it and it would never happen again, you know? But that to me like really put me in a shitty mood. Like I was like literally like laying on the floor, first of all freezing and then crying because I had like I was just like, once the alcohol wore off, I was like, oh my God, like what is going on? What am I doing? I had some girl in there that said she was in there for jaywalking. Of course she was not. And then some other chick who was like kind of bullying me off the phone so she could call like her baby daddy and then telling her baby daddy about me. It was really creepy. She was like, oh yeah, she's a hot blonde girl. Like, oh my God. I was like, oh my God. Okay. so I was being a little asshole for a while. I wouldn't give the pee in the cup, which you had to do in the broom. It was weird. Like everyone had to pee and shit or whatever in front of each other. Thankfully, I didn't have to shit or anything. I actually ended up having to ask them for a fucking jacket because I was so fucking cold. I was in like a little dress and jeans, and they gave me like a corrections outfit. They wouldn't let me have my phone. They let me look at my phone for a second to get some numbers that I could call for like my phone calls. So I got like Hunter's number and Hunter's best friend's number, and that's who I called, and Jay's number I have memorized, so I didn't need to do that. But yeah, it was a horrible, horrible, horrible fucking night. They took my blood. They then had me drinking a bunch of Pedialyte so I would pass the test and be released, and then I was released, and I either Ubered or Jay came and picked me up for sure. Then we had to start the arduous journey of fucking going to get my Jeep. So we went driving around to like 3 different places that it could have been. Finally ended up finding it. It was like a big thing because I didn't have like something. They took my license, I think, and I didn't have a way to get that. There was some kind of shit where I was like, will I ever be able to get my license back because I don't have another form of ID that they'll take to get it back. It was fucking scary. It was horrible. It was like hot and sweaty that day. It was just, I felt like shit. I went through Hunter's friend's fucking law firm. I do not recommend this law firm at all. They fucking botched everything about my shit. If you ever are in Vegas, you see the signs, Richard Harris Law Firm. Do not go to them for anything. All of the numbers, the 333 or 444, I think they have the 777. Don't go to any of those. They're fucking horrible. Like literally fucking horrible. They only do snail mail. Oh my God. They don't answer my emails or calls. Everything got better at the very end, but that was after I was like threatening to do stuff like with Hunter. They took me in on a friend's discount, but then I got no discount, I found out later. They dropped the ball, so I actually had, oh my God, this has been such a fucking experience. Like, it is not worth it. Like, if you even think that it's possible that you're anywhere near inebriated enough to be like whatever is over the limit in your area. I know in Utah it's a lot lower than here, but usually it's like 0.08. If you feel like it's even possible, do not drive. Obviously, I would have said before, and I do say now, if you feel like you're gonna be worse at driving, don't drive. It's easy to Uber. I know it can be expensive, but it's worth it. Even if you think you can drive, it's worth not having to go through this horrible shit and being reminded of your dumb mistake that you made in 3.5 seconds that's now been haunting me for like 2 years and will, with the global entry thing, haunt me until 2026 because that's when I can get global entry again. So, long story short, I went through a bunch of drama trying to get them to actually fucking litigate my case properly, if that's even the word. I finally got it pled down to reckless driving, and I ended up having to have a breathalyzer in my Jeep for like 3 months. I had to re-get my license twice. I got new license plates because the cops can actually run your license plate and see what you were arrested for based on plate. That's like a quick way to look at it. I have to get a record seal next year, which I don't know what that's really gonna do for me. I guess it's just good for like law enforcement stuff because I'm telling you guys on the internet that it happened. But just so much shit came out of it that I don't even want to dive into. The story is just so stupid. Hi, Editing Tara here. There's another thing that I can't do because I have an arrest, just an arrest for a DUI, and that is travel to Canada. That was the reason I was going to get the global entry thing in the first place. So, oh my God, thank God one of my friends told me, and I did some research on it because we had flights booked, we had everything booked to go to Whistler this December, and I look it up and they're like, there's no fucking chance within the first 10 years of having an arrest for a DUI that they will let you into Canada, Mexico, Australia, or New Zealand. So I can't go to those places for at least 5 years. At 5 years, I can complete some like, I have been rehabilitated process thing or whatever. But like, oh, this is such a bigger deal. And like a lot of people like to go to Mexico. You know, like Mexico's like, you know, I can't go to Cancun for like 3 more years minimum. It's insane. It's insane. Do not drink and drive. If not for the non-selfish reasons of just not killing yourself and others, don't do it because you can't even vacation. Holy shit. Oh, and one of the other things I wanted to talk about as an outcome of this is that like, I only have 2 more months left, but I had to, after all of the court shit and everything, after pleading down and getting reckless, I got like 10 points on my record or something. And after like, I don't know what it is. After like 12 points or 15 points or something, they take your license away. So for a whole year, I had points on the point system that put me within like 1 speeding ticket or 2 speeding tickets away from losing my license again. So I'm 2 months away, and then those drop off. But oh, just another headache. Like I had to drive within the speed limit for a year, which has been hard. Let me tell you, everyone's going around me and shit. I'm still going 10 over the speed limit, all right? Because that's only like 1 point. I've like done the math up here on what is safe, but oh my God, kill me. Literally kill me, don't do it, once again. I had to go to court appearances, I had to pay thousands of dollars. I had to put the fucking stupid breathalyzer in my Jeep, which like killed my battery because it's like the Jeep is crazy and has like double batteries and then I have all the mods on it. Oh, it was so horrible. And like you have to blow, let me tell you about the breathalyzer. It's a clunky ass, big ass thing like this. You have to keep in your Jeep and cold and hot temperatures fuck it up. So sometimes it didn't even work. And then on top of that, you have to breathalyze while driving. Like you literally, it'll just randomly every 5 minutes or something be like boop, and then you gotta do it or the fucking alarm will start going off in your car. It's fucking crazy. You know what? I bought a breathalyzer that's this big. In fact, I'm gonna go get it and show it to you. Look at this. Look how tiny that is. This was $25 on Amazon. You're telling me that they couldn't make something that's more modern that's this size instead of like having something literally 3 times the size of my phone and like 5 times the thickness that I have to sit in my console like a fucking weirdo, or like instead of my fucking phone being like mounted on my dash, I had that like, I don't remember what, but it was like a fucking rubber band or something to keep it on that thing. So I could like grab it at a moment's notice. It was so cringe. Oh my God. So now I have this. Everyone should have this if they drink. Anyway, I have forgiven myself for this. It's okay if you guys think less of me. I know that if I had driven like actually intoxicated and I felt like I was actually intoxicated and I did that, I would hate myself a lot more, but I really do honestly feel like it was just a bad decision that wouldn't have caused any harm because I would have known my limits of driving and stuff. And I do think that the limit is a little low for what's actually considered scary. And I get to that level really quick because I'm small, low tolerance, don't drink that often, etc. Super healthy, so like everything kind of just goes through me really quick because I eat low calories and all that shit. But I've forgiven myself for it. I was angry at myself for a long time. I was angry at just the outcome in general, but like it's something that happened in my life and I've definitely learned a huge lesson from it. Not to fuck with the law, not to do any of the shit that I did that night. When in doubt, stay home and work or fucking watch TV or something. When in doubt, do not drive. Had any drink, like I'll have like 1 drink and then 2 hours later I'll drive. Like that's how I am now. Whereas before I would have like 3 drinks in 3 hours and be like, oh, I'm fine. Like I'm not even, you know, like I can walk in a straight line in heels. I can still fucking drive, you know? Now I'm a lot more cautious about it and I'm more cautious about forcing my friends to do the right thing too, or at least like not being around them when they do that or whatever. But like the annoying thing is that like my parents worried about me because of it. And like, I don't know, it's just like a shitty thing to have on your record. And it could, cause you know, like when someone hears DUI, they can think like you literally did like the craziest shit ever. And I have to live with that kind of like shadow on my record because I'm not gonna sit there and explain myself and I'm not gonna, it's just like, ugh, it feels like a shadow on my moral record too. Not that anyone I know cares, but yeah, I don't know. I've forgiven myself, like I said. Hopefully you guys will too and understand that I'm human. But I do feel a little, it's funny that like the first time in years and years and years, I have something that I feel embarrassed about a little bit. And it's because it was just so incongruent going back to the beginning of this with who I actually am as a person and stuff. And yeah. So now I have to stand in the very long line when I travel abroad. I know, first world problems. I'm so happy that I can still travel and do things, and things could have been so much worse. Sometimes they can make examples of you for the first DUI where like you actually have to spend a couple months or a month in jail or something. There's like a minimum and a maximum sentence, you know? Or like I could have not gotten it pled down to reckless driving, especially with the fucking counsel that I had. Oh my God. But yeah, that's my story. That's what happened. That's the thing that I alluded to many years ago that happened to me, and I definitely did fuck up, and I take accountability and responsibility for what I've done, and I've learned from it and I will not do it again. And I'm now terrified of it as well, so an added bonus, because sometimes when you don't really realize like how bad something can be, probably even hearing this story, you're like, oh, I spent a night in jail, it's not that big of a deal, you just had to like pay some money and get through it. You got through it, you know? But it's so bad when you remember the moments within it that were filled with the emotion of actually being within that moment, if that makes sense. And it's something I'll never forget. And I also really learned who my friends are that night. Not that I didn't already know that those weren't really my friends, but like I was trying, you know, I was trying to have like new friendships blossom, but I don't know. So yeah, taking full responsibility. I should not have done that. I will not do it again. And thanks for listening. I'm glad to finally get this off my chest because it was always something, like one of the few things I've never told you guys. And it's kind of an interesting story, I guess, to listen to if you can take all of the assholishness out of it. I love you guys. Thanks for watching. And yeah, like the video and subscribe if you enjoyed. I've missed being this candid with you guys. I haven't had really much to be this candid about since I stopped talking a lot about trying to fix my relationship or trying to streamline my relationship. Everything's really perfect. I also don't have much to talk about with that, and I don't have any problems or any drama, and I feel like I've covered every single philosophical topic, and I don't know. I feel like I've just done everything at this point. So there's not that much for me to like open up with to you anymore. So it's nice when I get these little moments to do that again with you. Thanks, guys. Bye.